Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and the latest Eternals promo clip released by Marvel Studios just revealed what may be one of the most norm-breaking and hotly debated elements of the film. Take a look at this latest trailer clip from Marvel to promote the film ahead of its release, which shows the moment the Eternals Ikaris and Sersi reunite with Phastos and meet his son.
Dad, that's Superman with the cape and you're shooting laser beams out of your eyes.
I don't wear a cape.
Well, what? Superman in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Aha, from the mouths of babes, fourth wall breaking references that he wrote the fabric of reality. This kid in the MCU is aware of Superman, the frontman of DC Comics, supposed to be a separate franchise, which aside from some weird crossover comic storylines in the past, DC and Marvel never acknowledge the existence of each other in their stories. But presumably from media that this kid consumed, his go-to reference for a flying caped superhero is not Doctor Strange or Thor or Vision, but Superman? This kid! Now, while this seems like a throwaway joke, it was probably intended that way. I can confirm, having had the luxury of being able to see the film early, and I promise to divulge no serious plot details in this video other than the material Marvel Studios has themselves revealed in their promotional materials, that this is not the only moment in the Eternals film that pulls this kind of move. I won't say what the other one is, only to say that this Superman shoutout is part of an intentional move by the filmmakers to at least acknowledge the existence of DC properties as pop culture within the MCU. It is unprecedented, it's pretty weird, but it does tell us something about how Marvel plans to approach the boundaries of their universe going forward. Now, you may be saying, oh, come on, the MCU references other IP all the time in ways that are kind of confusing if you think too hard about them. True, Star Wars has been cited repeatedly in the MCU, as one of the titles Steve Rogers lists in his notebook in Captain America the Winter Soldier. Peter Parker is a huge Star Wars nerd, referencing The Empire Strikes Back and Civil War.
Hey guys, you ever seen that really old movie, Empire Strikes Back?
In Spider-Man Homecoming, Peter and Ned play with Star Wars Lego sets and a little Emperor Lego man. Peter also references the Alien franchise when he attacks Ebony Maw in Infinity War.
You ever see this really old movie, Aliens?
WandaVision made Malcolm in the Middle in actor Bryan Cranston MCU canon, along with pretty much every other sitcom. And sometimes these references create weird plot holes, like Tony Stark calls Thor Lebowski in Endgame.
One side there, Lebowski.
Of course, referencing Jeff Bridges in The Big Lebowski. But Jeff Bridges also played Tony Stark's nemesis Obadiah Stane in the first Iron Man film. So who did Tony Stark see on screen when he watched The Big Lebowski and catch that clever reference? Did a different actor play Lebowski in this universe? Look, there are a dozen of these paradoxes, and ultimately, they're really just jokes in movies. They're meant to be fun. Shut up, nerd, says all of our older brothers. But this Superman shoutout in Eternals is in a separate category, in my opinion. The MCU almost never references DC. There was literally one exception, and it's a thin one. There was a line from Happy Hogan in Iron Man 3.
Now you're off with the Super Friends. I don't know what's going on with you anymore.
Yes, Super Friends, the wonderful retro Justice League cartoon. Now, you could argue that Happy could have been using the term Super Friends as just a common term and not a direct reference. And with Jon Favreau off screen for this line, it does read very much like a throwaway ad-lib. Also in a movie that several fans do argue about its true MCU interconnectivity with Tony Stark's supposed retirement and the film's treatment of the Mandarin.
I am the Mandarin!
But other than that, no DC has been in the MCU until this Superman mention. Now, it's probably less out of any intercompany rivalry than out of just basic world logic. Like, think about it. Would a world that has famous superheroes flying around it still consider superhero fiction to be a marketable escapist fantasy to the same extent that we do in our world? Probably not, right? Like, it's fun to see Amazon's boys explore this subject, but I just don't buy that people would be actual murderous crime fighters and movie stars at the same time. Now, sure, fiction inspired by the characters in this world makes sense, like Captain America comics and trading cards distributed as war propaganda and now collector's items, as well as movies and documentaries reflecting MCU global events as we saw in Peter's Flight movie options in Far From Home. And the MCU has hinted that the mythologies of our world are inspired by this world superheroes, like Thor and Odin appeared in a children's book. Indeed, this is what the Eternals film is really all about. Characters like Athena, Ikaris, and Gilgamesh are implied to be the origins of the classic myths we learn in school. Now, if you're like me and you spend a lot of days staring intently at screens like this, you might notice your eyes start to feel heavy and you can have problems sleeping? Well, blue light damages our eyes and leads to digital eye strain. Symptoms of digital eye strain include blurred vision, headaches, and dry, watery eyes. For some folks, this can affect your energy level. Well, thanks to BlueBlox for sponsoring this video. BlueBlox was created to fix this problem and block out the blue light with high-quality lenses. Wha-bam! BlueBlox are evidence-backed and made under optics laboratory conditions in Australia. The founders were unhappy with the quality behind leading blue light blocking glasses brands, so they made their own. And these are great. They have over 40 styles of frames and come in prescription, non-prescription, and readers. They really just have frames for every need. And already I start to feel my eyes relax. I am literally surrounded by like 20 different screens. I'm like the operator of the Matrix right now. So to get yourself a pair of these, just go to blueblocks.com/newrockstars or just click the link below and you will get 20% off your order and get free shipping worldwide on orders over $115. So get your energy back, sleep better, and block out the unhealthy effects of blue light with BlueBlox. That's BLUBLOX.com/newrockstars or just click the link below. Code automatically applied at checkout for 20% off. And thanks again to BlueBlox for sponsoring this episode. It's also been implied that the canonicity of the world of the MCU and its history, as far as what the general public of that world knows to be true, really followed our history and pop culture right up until 2008 when Iron Man went public. Now, since then, the MCU has had different political leaders, different technology, different pop culture. They don't really reference the more modern stuff, but they do reference things like Beyonce, Adele, Ben & Jerry's ice cream, the War on Terror. But you could say all of those things weren't known before 2008. And of course, Superman existed long before 2008 as well. But for this kid to know of Superman as a reference that he would make in the year when Eternals is set, either 2023 or 2024, this world must have continued producing Superman comics and TV shows and films for years and years, even after the idea of flying alien superheroes in patriotic garb wasn't really escapist fantasy anymore. It was just their day-to-day life that they were living. Or maybe the kid just has really retro taste in comics. Either way, I think it is fascinating that Superman now exists in the MCU, and I think it tells us two things about the way Eternals is warping this cinematic universe. First, the MCU, of course, is approaching a multiverse where the rules of canonicity for everything are mattering less and less. Like Star Wars ships are showing up in the collector's garage in What If, Evan Peters is cameoing as a wink to himself, zombies can catch characters completely off guard, despite zombie fiction like Night of the Living Dead being a Halloween classic screened in this world. Somehow this is happening. And of course, Deadpool is on his way, and this guy is an equal opportunity satirist who references Marvel and DC and everything in between. But second takeaway, and this interests me even more, is that the Eternals is suggesting that all forms of media, all parts of our culture, has their roots in the gifts given to mankind by the Eternals, and by extension, by the Celestials. Like another detail we found in an earlier trailer months ago, the Holy Grail, the same cup design from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, is among Makari's hoarded artifacts. Now, Makari could have moved real fast to steal this Holy Grail movie prop from some Hollywood warehouse, but with the other real-life historical artifacts among Makari's collection, I think this is implied to be the actual Cup of Christ, and that the idea is the Eternals could have been moving these legendary artifacts around the world throughout histories, which resulted in them being depicted this way in popular media. I mean, Kingo is the guy who ends up working in the filmmaking industry. And the same could be said for DC Comics and the Superman character. Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster as an American response to the way Nazi propaganda exploited the Nietzschean Übermensch philosophy. Übermensch translates directly to Superman. And now I think the idea is that this type of media, Superman comics, was an outgrowth of Jungian archetypes rooted in mythologies that were all sparked by these Eternals, for better or worse. Well, worse considering Phastos ends up crying on the ashes of Hiroshima. It's looking pretty dark. So while the MCU is becoming a more chaotic place, it's also suggesting that all of this chaos has an origin and a purpose. You can support New Rockstars by checking out our merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Erik Voss. Follow New Rockstars and subscribe for breakdowns of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.